In one project, Dan and Shaharayal and I decided to look at what's the influence of others' unethical behavior on our own decisions to cheat. So we designed an experiment with different type of conditions.
So imagine the same experiment I described to you before, but with one main difference. We hired an acting student, and 30 seconds into the experiment, he raised his hand.
Yeah, I got all of them. What do I do?
And they say, I solved everything, what do I do next?
Usher, come up here. And Dad.
Now, this is 30 seconds into the experiment. You are still on question number 1. There is no question in your mind that that person is cheating, and the experimenter said, you finished everything, you're free to go.
There you go. Thanks very much.
And you see that person taking all the amount of money and going home. What would happen to your own morality? Well, lots more people cheat. But there could be two explanations here. One explanation is we just proved to people that in this experiment there's no downside for cheating. The second possibility is that it's not about the fact that they wouldn't catch you, it's about the fact that it's actually socially okay.
Thank you for participating.
And so we decided to study this by looking at whether the person cheating is somebody like us, somebody we feel similar to, or somebody who's very different from us.
We ran this experiment at Carnegie Mellon. Everybody was a Carnegie Mellon student. The acting student was a Carnegie Mellon student. We dressed the acting student in the University of Pittsburgh sweatshirt. Now, what happens if you're a University of Carnegie Mellon student and a Pittsburgh student cheats? You still know that you can get away with it. Here's the proof that somebody goes home with all the money, but you don't think that people like you are doing it. And what happens now? Cheating goes down. So it's not about the probability of being caught. It's about the question of what is socially acceptable in our circle.
There was a lot of punitive behavior in the early days of surgery. Each generation passes on its characteristics to the next. And so it really takes several generations to breed bad behaviors out of a profession.
What happens if a medical student is in the emergency room and the cardiologist consultant turns to the resident and says, turn around, and then proceeds to use their back as a desk, saying, make yourself useful? What's the likelihood that that medical student is going to have similar behavior when they get in the same position?
I was lecturing to a group of medical students, and I said, you're the student, and your physician, your attending physician, comes in to examine Miss Jones, and you didn't see your attending wash his or her hands. What do you say? It was really quiet in the room. And then one person said, you know what, there's this system that we have that we can report concerns of patient safety. After I go out of the room, I would go ahead and report it. I said, that's great, that's great. I said, what if Miss Jones was your mother? It's really hard when you train in a system of hierarchy and you're at the bottom to confront those above you.
I remember settings where a student might express some kind of emotion and it was just shut down by the person above them. And as a student, you see that and you're not sure what to make of it. You don't want to be like that, but then this is the system. As time goes on, the student may sort of participate in that because they want to be part of this profession, right?
Along the way, there are a lot of pressures that are placed on people to excel, to perform, to meet certain expectations of what a physician at a student level, resident level, or faculty level looks like.
The training's long, the hours are long, the expectations are high. It's something that, specifically in our field, we really pride ourselves in, a lot of grit.
For some folks, they're able to successfully navigate and find ways to continue the way they interact with people, to continue to serve patients and to acknowledge errors, to admit areas of insecurity, admit deficits that they have, things they don't know. Others really struggle with that. And I think along their developmental pathway, they've found that it's a sign of weakness or a sign of inferiority or a sign that they're not good enough to be successful. When you don't mitigate that early or intervene in a way that provides some sort of coaching, that's when I see most folks really fall down in more catastrophic ways.
When they began to look at characteristics of physicians who are sued versus the vast number who are not sued, the small number that were tended to have more unsolicited complaints from patients and families early on. So as they began to dig into that, they began to see that there really are some behaviors that we tend to refer to as disruptive or behaviors that undermine that culture of mutual respect. Because if you can't speak up when you're concerned about safety for a patient because you're afraid you're going to get yelled at, somebody's going to make fun of you, somebody's going to belittle you, and you don't say that, the outcome of that can potentially be harm to a patient. Part of the reason that physicians got away with behavior like throwing an instrument or slamming a fist on a table is because we never said anything about it. Regulating those behaviors is a part of creating the culture that is very much linked to patient outcomes.
I was asked to start a professional accountability program at Duke Health System called the SRS Safety Reporting System. It's modeled after a program at Vanderbilt University. Folks put in anonymous complaints. I get those reports every morning at 6, and I look at them. And we've trained a cadre of peer messengers to go out within 48 hours to meet with the offending person. We call it a cup of coffee program. You ask somebody if they want to have a cup of coffee. And the conversation is, Bill, we have this accountability program, and I'm here. Your boss doesn't know about it. But I wanted to make you aware that somebody felt that the interaction y'all had was not good. At Vanderbilt, the results have been 70% of the time, they never have another complaint. We have 1,400 physicians at Duke. 85 have had to have cups of coffee. And of that group, only 3 have had repeat cups of coffee. The vast majority, I'd say, are very thankful for sharing the information. They may say, well, I knew that things hadn't gone well, but I wasn't aware. I think that's one of the important things with professionalism, trying to understand how people are reacting to what you're saying.
Having those conversations around how we can really try to make improvements together rather than coming in and just yelling about an issue. I think that often would make a world of difference.
It's not just about how technically good you are, it's also about your ability to bring people in, all the members of the team in, so everybody can speak up. That's a critically important part of the comprehensive effort to provide safe care.